Hi guys, Luke here of SimBoxx in association with Clint Patrick and Adrenaline Performance. Delighted to be joined by somebody a little bit different today. Usually we focus our interviews here in the UK, but we're joined by Bryant Perrella from Pensacola in Florida. Bryant, how are we doing?
Doing great, man. How about yourself?
Yeah, all good, thank you. So, first and foremost, some of our listeners, some of our followers here in the UK might not know too much about you. Former world title challenger operating at world title level, most recently against Tony Harrison. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I was born and raised in Florida. Uh, I've been boxing since I was 15 years old, and had a pretty good amateur background. I fought in the Olympic trials. I've been with Earl Spence like 3 times in the amateurs, a lot of other top guys. Um, 21 fights in as a pro, and now at that upper echelon and contender level of the junior middleweight or super welterweight division.
Yeah, of course. So your record currently sits at 17-3-1. The draw on your record came in your previous bout against Tony Harrison, who was the former unified super welterweight champion. So, very good operator. And to get a draw with him, what did you take from that fight? Did you think, do you believe you won the fight? Did you agree with the draw? And how much did you prove to yourself that you could operate at that kind of level?
Well, I definitely believe I won the fight. I outthrew him, I outlanded him, and I had him hurt several times in the fight, which I wasn't hurt at any time of the fight. Uh, but it is what it is. I can't go back on time, and I'm not going to dwell on that. I feel like it was a great showing. It was my very first fight in the new division. Straight in there with one of the top guys, one of the top names, and I proved myself. I proved to myself, and I proved to a lot of other people that I really am on this level, and I feel that this division is what's best for me, and I'm looking forward to what's next.
You mentioned there that you proved a lot to yourself and to others. Do you believe you was brought in there as just an opponent for Tony Harrison, given that this was his first fight back since losing to Charlo, and that he had some troubles away from the ring, some unfortunate issues away from the ring, and that maybe he just needed a keep busy fight to get back into contention, and you caused him a lot of trouble, as you say. One judge gave it to you wide, one judge gave it to him wide, one had it level. Do you think you was overlooked in the build up to the fight?
Oh, 100%. And I really enjoyed that because I know it is a huge advantage to be underestimated. When a guy overlooks, when you can't, that's why you can't overlook anybody in boxing. You can never, overlook any opponent. You have to take them all seriously, no matter what. And, I know that they were extremely confident for this fight because they see me as a guy that's in a lower weight class that's coming up in weight, with the very first fight being with the top guy. And maybe they thought stylistically it was going to be easier. They're expecting something different than what actually came on fight night. So yeah, it really played right into our hands.
As a former unified champion, Tony Harrison, was he better or worse than what you expected heading into the fight?
That's a good question. Better or worse? He was, crazy to say, maybe a little bit better than I thought in a few ways. He was slick with his boxing. A lot of things that I could get away with other guys in training and sparring, I couldn't get away with it so good with Tony Harrison. He's a very crafty fighter, very intelligent boxer. He was pretty good. I was thinking in my mind I was going to get the stoppage, but he showed his craftiness when I had him hurt a few times. He just knows how to weather the storm and stay in the fight. And he's a dangerous guy as well, so can't take too many crazy risks or go for the finish if it's not coming. Yeah, but he was a really solid fighter, really smart boxer.
So as you mentioned, this was your first fight up at 154, and it was right in at the deep end. Did you move up in weight to take this opportunity, or was the move up in weight always going to happen at some point in your career, do you believe?
It was going to happen. It was going to happen regardless. It's probably been a long time coming. I feel like this is the weight class I should have been at for a little bit earlier, but I'm here now. You know, I spar with guys that are much bigger than me always. The whole camp that I'm with in Roy Jones is middleweights and super middleweights. Even some light heavyweight guys, and they walk around heavy too. So, and I hold my own, and I do extremely well with bigger guys. So, and I'm not a guy that can easily get down to 147 either. That was really a stretch for me, and I didn't want to. So, you know, I just felt like I was losing a little bit too much of what I had in me to bring to the fight, and I want to bring the best of me to the fight. So 154, I believe, is definitely the best division.
You know, you mentioned there being part of the Roy Jones gym. Have you had any opportunity to spar with Chris Eubank Jr.? Obviously, he's a British middleweight. Was there any opportunities to spar with him?
Absolutely. Yeah, we've got plenty of good sparring sessions in. He's an excellent fighter. He's really good as well. And he's shown vast improvements as being Roy Jones as well.
Well, that's something I was going to ask about, given that you've got that kind of insight that, you know, Chris Eubank, we know over in the UK, is full of self-confidence. For a long time, he was training himself. He didn't really have anybody in the corner, which is quite bizarre in the sport of boxing. Do you believe like he's kind of fallen into line under Roy Jones, that he's taking everything on board from Roy Jones, and that obviously he hopes it's going to make him a better boxer?
Oh, absolutely. Roy Jones is definitely an asset. And I mean, absolutely. You've seen in his last fight, he's shown a lot of improvements with the footwork and just, I mean, from what I've seen, it's like night and day between fights. So it's just, you know, it's up to the fighter to take and utilize what Roy's saying and kind of blend it into one's own style. And I believe that he's doing that as well. And in that fight that I've seen, I was really impressed.
Yeah, so that fight that you're alluding to there was against Marcus Morrison. It took place over here in Manchester, which is my hometown. And Roy Jones, of course, was in the corner. And in the fight week bubble, given that they're locked away in the hotel, I'm not sure if you've seen on social media, but we had everybody in the fight week bubble was falling over themselves to get a picture with Roy. Just how much of an inspiration to you is Roy Jones Jr. and how lucky are you to be able to deal with him on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, so yeah, being with Roy Jones, it's been amazing. It's been a huge blessing to be around him and to absorb the knowledge that he has. And the thing with Roy is he can say something and he can go and show you exactly how to do it. And a lot of times it's way better than what we can do. And that's the amazing part about it. You know, he's a genius when it comes to the boxing brain, and there's just so much to what he has to offer as far as knowledge. And it's really exciting being a student of Roy, because I know every day is going to be something new. And there's so many different things. It's never ending. So I feel it's exciting. It's like going to school.
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to pick out a couple of fights off your record and get your thoughts on them. The fight previous to Tony Harrison was a loss to Abel Ramos. Now, this is, in terms of dramatics, as dramatic as a loss as you're going to see in boxing. And unfortunately, you was on the receiving end of it. It was 2 minutes and 59 seconds into the 10th round of a fight you was ahead in. And unfortunately, you were stopped in that fight. Looking back on that fight and watching it, was you frustrated? Was you upset? Was you annoyed? Take us through your mindset looking back at that fight.
You know, honestly, I never watched that fight again. I never rewatched it. Not that I don't like watching any fights that I lose. I just can't do it. But that fight, you know, it is what it is. It happens. Everyone's seen what was going on in that fight. They've seen the drama, they've seen the controversy from what happened. And, you know, like I said before, like I'm not going to dwell on it. I'm not going to dwell on that. And I feel like everything happens for a reason. And I learned a lot from that fight, not just from the loss, but how I felt in that ring as well. A lot of great things that came from it ever since. So, you know, I just took it like that. And it set me on my journey. And because of that fight, I was able to get with Roy Jones, and I was able to get in there with Tony Harrison, and I was able to do what I do, and it was able to get me to where I am right now, today, in a better position than I was.
That's a great philosophy to have, yeah.
Absolutely.
So a standout name on your record for us here in the UK would be Bradis Prescott, given that he knocked out Amir Khan, give Amir Khan the first loss of his career. It was a stunning knockout, and you defeated Prescott by way of unanimous decision. Looking at your record, in your opinion, what's your favourite moment, your favourite fight, your standout victory so far?
Well,
I'll put you on the spot a little bit.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I always like stoppages, of course, stopping a guy, knocking him out. So those are the fights that are for me. It would be the Dominic Dalton or the David Grayton, those fights, but also this fight as well. This might be the standout fight because I think it had the most relevance, and I was such an underdog, and it kind of put me on the map. And I think, this is definitely up there. One of the most, this is probably the most memorable fight that I've had and most impacting one.
Yeah, absolutely. So your nickname, of course, the good fella. Take us through how you came to have that moniker and just what that means to you.
Well, good fella Perrella, it has a nice ring to it. The Italian background as well. And it's just how I go. It's never personal. It's just business. And when I get in the ring, it's that time I walk into my office. It's time to go to work. Time to handle business. So
that's cool, man. That's cool to hear.
It just kind of goes.
So, of course, you're operating at 154 and you're going to be operating at that division moving forward. There's a huge fight at the top of the division with Brian Castano and Jamel Charlo for the Undisputed world titles. Huge fight. What side of the fence are you sitting on when it comes to the Undisputed clash?
Well, I'm going to go with Jamel Charlo. He's proven himself over and over again against a lot of the top guys in the division. He's proven his worth. He's shown his championship valor, and but I will say this: Castano was very, very tough guy. He puts pressure. He throws a lot of punches. It's going to be I'm really interested to see how this fight plays out. It could be a really, really tough fight for both guys on both sides. So you never know in sport of boxing. It's not that I don't see Charlo couldn't be that huge of a favorite because Castano really.
So here in the UK, we have a bustling 154-pound division ourselves. We've got the likes of Liam Smith, a former world champion, Ted Cheeseman, Troy Williamson, amongst others, Anthony Fowler as well, Scott Fitzgerald. How aware are you of some of the welterweights or super welterweights over here in the UK?
I've seen a few guys, like the Cheeseman guy. I watched a little of him. He seems to be very tough. I don't focus too much on the guys in the weight class. I'm so focused on just bettering myself every day and developing new skills. Because at the end of the day, that's what's going to matter most. But I know there's a lot of great fighters over there on the UK side in the division as well. I've checked them out a few times. I take a peek over there just to see the overscope of the whole division. Sometimes you gotta see if, just what's around, and then get back to work. And that's just my philosophy. That's my mindset. I just stay locked in, and so I can keep bringing a different, better version of myself every time I step out there.
That's great to hear. And, once the world's back to normal, fingers crossed, we look like we're returning to some sort of normality. Could we ever expect a Bryant Perrella fight in the UK with one of our guys if the opportunity arose?
Hey, you never know. I'm down for it. So I would say so. 100%. That'd be pretty amazing.
As a fan of boxing, away from your actual career, but just as a fan of boxing, which kind of boxers do you like to watch? Who are your heroes in the past and current?
I like them all. I like so many different styles. In the beginning, and still to this day, I like explosive fighters, knockout power. They're exciting. I loved Mike Tyson. Roy Jones, of course, my favorite fighter. But I even like guys like Mayweather. Slick, great defense, and I'm just a fan of boxing. I'm a fan of boxing. I just love boxing. I mean, Sugar Ray Leonard, Tommy Hearns, Lennox Lewis. I mean, there's so many great fighters, and but I try to put a blend. And what my liking is more towards is the explosive guys and the good boxers. So a combination of the two.
A little bit of everything.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, Bryant, it's been an absolute pleasure catching up. I thank you for your time, and I'm sure we'll catch up again in the future. But for now, Bryant, good fella, Perrella, thanks for your time. Have a good day, and thanks for your time, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you. It's a pleasure.